I'd like to call the May 21st, 2018 Old Bridge Township Council meeting to order. Please rise. We'll do a Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence for those who are protecting our freedoms both here and abroad, for our first responders, and for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Pasquini, the prayer, please.
O Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give them quiet minds and hearts that they may hear thy voice. Help them to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give them strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right. And grant that they have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, June 21st, 2018 at 7:30 p.m.
Okay, we're going to have to do, I'm sorry, yeah.
Mrs. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Cahill? Here. Dr. Greenberg?
Here.
Mr. Merwin?
Present.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Pasquini?
Present.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
President Selhorn?
Here.
9 present.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As you can see, the mayor has not arrived yet, but we will start the presentations, okay?
My sentiments exactly. Get me out.
Vivian, you gotta keep your mic on when you talk. Only when you talk.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just bear with us. As I said, the mayor is not here, so we will continue on with the awards, okay? All right. The first one is Olivia D. Lorio, assistant coach for the Old Bridge Robin Area 5 Special Olympics basketball program. Is Pete Piero here? It's not on. All right. Just a minute.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that was the first one, right? Still not, all right, 1 minute. 1 minute. Yes, that's great. Please. Okay, thank you. So we're just trying to get this to work.
There you go.
I hear. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right? Yep.
I'll call him in a second. All right, I'm Coach Dan from the Old Bridge Special Olympics basketball program. Just going to give you a real quick talk about what we did this season. I know we have a lot of presentations to do, so I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I remember last year when we came up to get our awards, and I said I couldn't imagine how the program was going to get any bigger than it was last year. I think we finished last year somewhere around getting close to 30 athletes, and I was like, yeah, that's it. We're done. And then this year, we almost have 40 athletes. I think we're sitting over just a little over 40. So the program keeps growing exponentially every year. And it's awesome. I really can't believe how far we've come since we started. We had maybe, 5 kids in the gym? It's come a long way. So this season, our 4 teams competed in sectional competition at Sandburg School. And then the teams that won either a gold or a silver medal went to states in Wildwood. And our teams, as always, did a really phenomenal job this year. Of our 4 teams, 3 of them actually made it all the way to states, which is a new record for us. Last year, we had, I think, only 2 teams make it. So we're almost there. We're trying to get everyone to go one year. So for a couple kids who've been in with the program all the way through, it was their first time going to Wildwood. So it was a really excellent season. Of our 4 teams, we had the Robins are our second team. They came in, they got a silver at sectionals and a 4th place at states. The Knights are our top team. They won a gold in sectionals and a bronze at states. We had the Cougars, which won a bronze at sectionals and a bronze at states. And then the Rebels are a brand new team, which won a bronze at sectionals. So we're really proud of everyone. They had a great season. Just a couple quick people to thank before we get into the certificates. Obviously, we can't do this program without the Township of Old Bridge and without the town board. So thank you so much for having us, and thanks for the certificates. And also a really big shout out to the Old Bridge school system. For years, we've been in Shepherd School with like 20-something kids, and it's just impossible to do anything in the small gym. But we finally got an upgrade to the high school this year, and they did a fantastic job. It was really cool, so thank you so much for that. Also, big shout out to Pete Parrow from Camp Robin and Barbara Anderson from Special Projects. Nothing at Camp Robin gets done without either of them, so thank you so much for letting us continue. Karen Lewicki, who helps out with everything Special Olympics. Don't have any more to say. That's just thank you. And of course, we can't have our programs without all of our amazing volunteers, everyone who's here, everyone who couldn't make it tonight, all of our amazing parents who deal with lots of crazy emails, driving to and from places, practice changes, and of course, without our amazing athletes who had another awesome season. Thank you guys so much for letting us coach here. All right, so to help me give out the awards, I'm going to have Coach Rick, who's our head coach, come and hold some certificates for me. All right, first up, we have one of our volunteers. We have Genevieva, who couldn't make it tonight. One of our assistant coaches, Ashley Crudis. A special certificate for Pete Parrow, or the Robin coordinator. All right, we have the new director of Old Bridge Township Parks, Recreation, and Social Service, Matt Mercurio. One of our assistant coaches and chaperones, Jen Tricarico. One of our assistant coaches from the high school couldn't make it, Jared Horvath. Another assistant coach, Nicole Cornejo. And another assistant coach, Matt Rosalie. Okay. Of the Old Bridge Rebels who couldn't make it, Anthony Manduca. One of our coaches for the Cougars, Kimberly Tengi. Another coach, John Rosalie. Who couldn't make it, Jenna Diorio. And our head coach who's standing right next to me, Ulrich Butcher. And one more of our coaches, Matt Long. And one more coach who couldn't be here, Ben Carroll. Kelsey Acer, who also couldn't make it tonight. All right, and now we're finally up to our athletes. We're going to start with the athletes of the Old Bridge Knights. Gold medal at sectionals and a bronze medal at states. All right, first up we got Yamaj Abdi Suban. Have my big brother, Tommy Antonazzi. Make it tonight, but for Ben Brackman. I hope I don't mess your last name up. It's Matthew Ciangetti. Next up, we have Matthew Diorio. I don't see him around, so I don't think he can make it tonight, but Christopher McMullen. Another athlete from the Knights, Daniel McNamara. Another longtime Old Bridge athlete, Myvie Nguyen. I know this one's here. Devin Miller. Jimmy Smith.
It's over there, the one.
Yeah, it's on the.
Okay, good. All right.
And last from the Knights, we have Matthew Diorio. The Robins, they won a silver at sectionals and a fourth place medal at states. First up, we have Matthew Benetti.
Congratulations. Very good.
We have Louis Cavana. Next up, we have Robbie Lou. Next up, we have Salvatore Lupino. We have Paul Pantano. All right, next up is Joseph Pilchuk. I couldn't make it tonight. Brendan Rosario. Next up, we have Nicholas Ruley. Next up, we have Jordan Shaw. On to the Cougars. These guys won a bronze medal at sectionals and a bronze medal at states. And first up from the Cougars, we have Matthew Arvello. Couldn't be here tonight. It's Darsh Desai. New athlete to the program this year, Kyle Dowling. One of our original members, Justin George. Dylan Madrid. Cal Moshny. He couldn't be here tonight, but Nico is next. Athlete Ryan Sikola. Scott Solomon. Longtime member, we have Bobby Vig. Our new team this year was the Old Bridge Rebels. They got a bronze medal at sectionals. an athlete who couldn't make it tonight, Jeffrey Bodine. Another athlete who couldn't make it, Deborah Basato. Alexander Casara. Another athlete who couldn't make it tonight, Shrikar Chala. Another athlete who couldn't make it, Tyler Quellar. Next up, we have Victoria Faela. Next up, we have Christopher Marquez. Who couldn't make it, Vanessa Shoham. Another athlete who couldn't make it, April Trakosh. But certainly not least, Mark Zeloff. Bearing with us, a lot of names. Thank you so much.
Next presentation. What's the next presentation? Yes,
Right here.
everyone.
Okay, now we will be doing the proclamation for Grand Marshal John Oliveira. Why don't we say, if the mayor's on his way, would you like to do the 6th grade academic challenge team first at St. Ambrose? Very proud of their accomplishments.
Yes, if the principal would like to come up first, please, and Mrs. Orecchio, please. Them to please. No problem. Just try to speak. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everyone, and I would like to, first of all, thank the council for this great honor. My name is Dr. Theodore Cadella. I am the principal of the St. Ambrose School. Earlier this month, after the hard work of our teacher advisors, which is Mrs. Roseanne Orecchio, Mrs. Dolores Lang, and not with us this evening is Mrs. Teresa Romano. It was really just amazing, and I'll explain the story. The 6th graders, actually the entire middle school, entered into a competition at the Hammersholt Middle School in East Brunswick. When I was asked why the students did so well, it was my pleasure to report that beyond all of the work that the students went through with their teachers and their advisors, they actually got together during recess and lunch and worked on their own to prepare for this. The academic competitions are very, very, very competitive, and it's I just couldn't be prouder to report to you all that the 6th grade came in first place. and they are competing against quite a few schools. Was there like 12 schools there that are not only private but very, very big public middle schools also. So we really just could not be prouder of our 6th grade. So thank you. Mrs. Orecchio is one of our advisors. Mrs. Orecchio, would you like to say something?
I want to thank the 6th grade team as well as the other teams that we had, the 7th and 8th grade team. You worked very, very hard. The competition is not an easy competition whatsoever. The amount of knowledge that they need goes beyond what's in the classroom. So they took it upon themselves actually to, supplement what we do in school, what we did after school. They spent an hour and 15 minutes every week after school to prepare for the competition. So I want to thank them all, and I know we will go on to win more.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say congratulations, St. Ambrose. I know some of you guys I coached in track, and my daughter's on the team, so I'm really proud of you. I know how much effort you put into it, and I'm really, really proud. Thank you.
So it is my great, great honor to present the Certificate of Recognition from the Township of Old Bridge to Peter Afokwe. Peter,
Yeah, proud dad.
I'm sure they have a very long agenda. Victoria Forte. Victoria, you can go sit down. Peter, you can go sit down.
See how they listen.
Lorenz Monteguin. Gianna Rizzoli. Gianna Sarmiento. JJ Tatone.
Hold up, JJ.
Picture. It's a proud mama.
And finally, I would like to once again congratulate the 6th grade, of course, but to second what Mrs. Orecchio had mentioned, that we had the entire middle school present, and they all did a wonderful job. We're so proud of St. Ambrose and the accomplishments that we have done, and we have a long-standing tradition at St. Ambrose of excellence in academics, and it looks like we're keeping that tradition going.
The next is the Grand Marshal, John Olivier.
We have Grand Marshal here.
Is he here? Is John here?
John Oliver, he's, no,
Right?
okay.
No.
All right, well, I'm going to read on behalf of Mayor the proclamations. John Oliver has been chosen Grand Marshal for 2018 Old Bridge Township Memorial Parade. And whereas John Oliver was raised in the city of Newark, New Jersey, after graduating Central High School in 1959, he chose to join the U.S. Navy and served from 1960 to 1962. After completing basic training in Great Lakes, Illinois, he was assigned to USS Interpret aircraft carrier at the rank of airman and felt extremely fortunate to have been assigned to one of the most prestigious ships in the U.S. Navy. And whereas during his time of service on the Interpret, he patrolled the Mediterranean Sea during the Cold War with Russia and was their duty to certify pilots for squadron in the Navy, Army, and Marines for launching aircrafts on aircraft carrier for combat readiness. And whereas after returning to Norfolk, Virginia, he was deployed to the Dominican Republic to ensure the safety of American citizens stranded on the island as a result of violent takeover of new dictator. And whereas in May 1962, he was deployed to the recovery ship for the second astronaut orbit the Earth. On May 24, 1962, the Interpret recovered Commander Scott Carpenter from Caribbean Sea. Mr. Oliver, having the same blood type as a Commander Carpenter, and was put on restricted duty in case he needed blood upon the capsule's return to the Earth. President John F. Kennedy was patched into Interpret from the White House on the loudspeaker, hearing throughout the ship and commended the men for their work. And whereas Mr. Oliver retired from the service few months later, meanwhile, his parents moved from Newark to Madison Township, and upon his return, he moved as well. After returning to civilian life, he began to work for a major steamship company in Port Newark. He was sworn officer in Winfield Township and special officer in Madison Township and served for 24 years. Currently, Mr. Oliver resides in Old Bridge, New Jersey with his wife Lynn and two daughters, Suzanne and Diane. John Oliver's military experience inspired him to continue life of service to his community. And whereas during his residency in Old Bridge, he served as chairman of planning board, served as a zoning board and water authority before merging with the MUA, and now serves as a member of Community Action Group, a committee working with DEP and EPA to restore the Lawrence Harbor and Cliffwood Beach waterfront back to its original glory. Mr. Oliver's continued to serve as a volunteer on Interpret as a tour guide once a week. Now, therefore, I, Owen Henry, Mayor of Old Bridge Township, Middlesex County, State of New Jersey, do hereby acknowledge and recognize John Oliver, U.S. Navy, as the Grand Marshal on this Memorial Day, May 28, 2018, and call upon all citizens to commend John Oliver and many other heroes of this great country who fought to preserve our liberty.
Okay, now we will have the National Public Works Week presentation. Thank you.
Hi, Kyle. You want to come forward? Kyle is our Public Works Director. He's been here about a year now, 1 year, right? 15 months. And under his leadership, our Public Works Department is doing such a great job. I think everyone in the township appreciates his works. I'm sure many of you experienced his tremendous work that our Public Works Department did throughout the winters and the storm season that we just went through. So I'm going to read on behalf of Mayor, I'm going to read the Public Works Recognition Week. In honor of millions of Public Works employees at the federal, state, county, and city levels, whereas Public Works service provided to our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas these services includes maintenance of public facilities, roads, recycling trees, vehicles, and emergency services including snow removal, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of residents of the Township of Old Bridge greatly depends on the dedicated efforts of Public Works employee who deliver service in a skilled and comprehensive manner, and whereas the theme of 2018 National Public Works Week is the power of the public works. And whereas this year National Public Works Week celebrates the vital role of public works plays in connecting us all together. As the cornerstone of civilization, public works provides, maintains, and improves the structure and services that assures higher quality of life for our communities. It is streets, roads, bridges, and public transportation keeps us linked together from coast to coast, and its clean water and sanitation services keeps us healthy and allow our community grow and prosper. Whereas National Public Works Week is an appropriate and timely opportunity to formally thank all the Township of Old Bridge Public Works employees for their continued extraordinary service to the community. Now therefore, I, Mayor Owen Henry of the Township of Old Bridge, do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens and set seal hereto the week of May 20 to 26 is a Public Service Recognition Week, and all citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishment and contribution of government employees at all levels, federal, state, and county and city. I also want to recognize, along with Public Works, Parks Divisions, Parks Maintenance Division employee. Basically, they also perform the work, and during this storm emergency, they also provide services. So I want to thank all of them.
Yes, we're very proud.
Thank you.
Very proud.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'd like to take a 5-minute break, and first of all, we want to thank you all for coming. We're so proud of all your accomplishments. You are what makes Old Bridge great on every level, and this is what we enjoy the most.
Thank you. Okay, I'd just like to say we're back in session, okay, and we'll begin with the body of the meeting. All right, everyone here, everybody's back? Okay. All right, the first thing that we're going to do now is approval of minutes of previous meetings. Combined meeting minutes, March 19th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg and second by Mr. Murphy. Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, next will be the bill listing. Mrs. Walker.
Bill list, May 21st, 2018. Accounts payable, May 21st, 2018. $9,318,080.25.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg, Belli, second by Mr. Murphy. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, May 11, 2018. $904,010.29.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pasquini, second by Dr. Greenberg, Belli. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, May 11, 2018. $30,278.50.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Pasquini, second by Dr. Greenberg, Belli. Roll call, please.
Mrs.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, can you give us a breakdown, please, Mr. Shaw? I apologize.
Yes, Council Presidents, as As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the total overtime for this period is $30,278.50. This payroll had pretty much routine overtime in almost every department. There is no special uptick. For the police department, the total overtime was $23,673.89 for the sworn officers. When you deduct for grant, $4,408.36, and deduct for ETO, $5,285.04, the net overtime is $13,980.49, representing 383.75 men and women hours. We had 2 police officers on light duty during this period.
Okay.
That's the report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shah. Do I have a motion for the overtime?
Move it.
Oh, we did already, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohoor?
Yes.
9 yes.
And that concludes the bill list.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Walker. Next is public hearing and ordinances for second reading. The first one is H1, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Lancia Construction Corporation, Block 2300, Lot 2, application number 15-17Z. Good evening, Mrs. Shapiro.
Good evening. Thank you, Council President. This application was in front of our zoning board. It's for a company called Lancia Construction Corporation. The subject site is on County Route 527, Old Bridge Englishtown Road. It's actually on the east side, and it has dual frontage, Pension Road and on County Route 527. The applicant had rehabbed a building on site and then had also put up a storage building for his business, which is construction. The improvements on site that were bonded were just landscaping items and the fencing itself. The applicant did post the bonds all in cash for a total of $13,500, of which we recommend release for tonight. Recognizing Mr. Lancia sitting right next to me, representing himself tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to open it to the public. Does anyone from the public like to be heard? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now go to council. Anyone have any questions or comments from council? Okay, if not, then I ask for a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Rosselli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohoor?
Yes,
9 yes.
Thank you all very much.
thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. Okay, next is H2, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Wawa, number 934, 67 Highway 34, Mattawan. Diesel modification, application number 13-12Z, bond number 106361469. Good evening.
Council President, members of council, Timothy M. Prime, I represent Wawa. Thank you.
Council, this application was for the Wawa located at the intersection of Route 34 and Dock Road, actually the northeast quadrant. The applicant removed 2 gasoline tanks and replaced them with diesel. Really, the site improvements mainly had to do with the tanks themselves, which were underground, and just the associated pavement around the area. The site was then inspected. All the work has been completed. The performance guarantee of $19,294.80 was posted. In form of bond was $17,365.32, of which 10% cash portion, $1,929.48. We do recommend release, and what I forgot to mention before was there is no maintenance guarantee on this and the previous.
So you're saying release, okay. I'd like to open it up to the public. Is there anyone would like to be heard on this matter? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now open it up to council for comments or questions. Mr. Merwin?
Back-end documentation in computers we have that application's on the next one, and
Is it reversed?
If I could, Mr. Moore?
yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so, Ms. Council President Solar, H2 looks like the backup is for Foxborough Village. We don't have the backup for the Wawa store number 934.
It's, all right.
Just FYI.
I did notice that this afternoon there wasn't backup on for this. I did send an email to the clerk's office.
Okay.
I want to say it's probably my fault. Perhaps I didn't send the correct backup. It was issued. I can give the documentation to council in an email tomorrow if that is appropriate.
That's okay.
Nicole,
Okay, is that?
Thank you.
And there's backup for the next one.
switch. Nicole, they're switched. H2 and H3 are switched.
H2 and H3.
No,
Okay.
it's not. That's for, that's a store 940, 934 is missing on
Okay.
H2.
I will forward then the memo on Wawa Route 34 and Dock Road.
Okay, Mr.
What are we voting on right now?
This is application 13-12Z,
H2.
Wawa Route 34 and Dock Road.
Now, Mr. Murphy, did you have a question
Yeah,
as well?
Mr. Shapiro, you have any problems with it at all?
No.
I'll move it.
Okay, first, the public, anyone know in the public, right? Correct? Okay, you're moving it, Mr. Murphy? Do we have a second?
Second.
How about you?
Okay.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selwood?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is H3, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Wawa Store Number 940, 1453 Route 18, Old Bridge, Trash Enclosure Bond Number 106, 451939, Application Number 30-15P.
Council President, this application is for the Wawa on the corner of Route 18 and Maple Street. This one was for more of some site improvements. Traditionally, I shouldn't say traditionally, this Wawa actually did their trash sorting inside the building, typical as the trash cans that we had. They then moved that facility outdoors. So it's for a trash compactor, a dumpster, and then the associated site improvements at the rear of the store, installation of some asphalt pavement, construction of a concrete pad, fencing and striping of that area. We did inspect the bonded site improvements, found them to be in good condition, and we recommend the release of the performance guarantee for a total of $26,898.44, performance bonds of $24,208.60, 10% cash portion, $2,689.84.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion and now open it to council. Anyone?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Murphy and moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. Murphy.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selwood?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Shapiro. Next will be ordinances for second reading. Ordinance number 1, number 2018-13, an ordinance granting municipal consent for the operation of a cable television system within the Township of Old Bridge, New Jersey, to CSC, TKR, LLC, DBA, Cablevision of Raritan Valley.
Mrs. Sohar, just point of order.
Yes.
I just need to read into the record again, I'm a senior director with Comcast, which is a competitor of Cablevision. I will be abstaining. If there's any discussion, I'm going to remove myself temporarily from the dais.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Cahill. All right, I'd like to open it up first to the public. Is there anyone out here who would like to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now go to council. Anyone? Mr. Murphy?
I just want to say that Tony Pacitti did a great job again. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing no hands, I will ask for a motion.
Move it.
Okay, and a second? Okay. Mr. Murphy? Mr. Rizzoli, yes. Okay.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Next is ordinance number 2018 for second reading -14, amending Old Bridge Code Chapter 10 entitled Vehicle and Traffic Ordinance, Poor Farm Road and Cheesequake Road. I'd like to open it first to the public. Anyone in the public wish to speak? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now ask for council. Any comments? Okay, then I'd ask for a motion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Murphy and second by Dr. Greenberg. I mean, oh, I gotta watch my Councilwoman Walker. He's starting to sound like.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohor?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Next will be preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on any subject matters for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Richard Epiphanema?
Yeah, good evening. Okay, if you could just give your name and your address.
Richard Epifania, 11 Marina, Manalapan, New Jersey. I'm here on behalf of the complaint about the Shade Tree Commission again.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know that Mr. Lavala was going to be here speaking. I like to sit back, listen what he has to say, and come back up after if that's possible.
We do have a public portion at the end of the meeting. That's an open portion at the very end of the meeting.
Okay, well, one of my complaints, again, I didn't say it the other day, is why do we have to bring... Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, just speak into the mic, please.
Why do we have to bring our paperwork to his house to be approved in Old Bridge? That's one of my complaints, too. I didn't say it the other day. He works for the township, correct? You're supposed to bring the paperwork to the township, so that's where the building is, where we are right now. Okay? Another thing, nobody's supposed to do a job in Old Bridge without a permit, right? Okay, nobody's supposed to work in Old Bridge if you're on the Shade Tree Commission, correct? Okay, well, last week, he said that, 2 weeks ago, he said he worked for whether it was a family member or whatever. It's still illegal. You can't work. You can't work in Old Bridge, end of story. I have no more to say. Thank you.
All right.
Next, Nikki Monteperto?
Yes, I would like to know if there are any plans to repair the Ticetown Road going from Higgins to Route 79. I believe that it's owned by 3 towns, including Matawan, Aberdeen, and Old Bridge, but the road has really become very, very bad and hazardous both to cars and people. So is there anything going on about that?
So you're talking about Ticetown Road from Higgins Road down to Route 79.
Yes.
If there's any plans to be having that done. That's Marlboro, correct?
Yeah. Ticetown Road, from Higgins Road to the soccer fields, Old Bridge. After that, it's Marlboro.
So as far as the one side, Nicole, from Higgins to the soccer field, is there anything right now for that? I know we're doing the other portion.
We were actually looking at local aid at the next year's application for inclusion for the continuation or part 2 of the improvements at Ticetown Road.
That would be our portion from Old Bridge. So that, now she's saying would be probably next year, that portion would be done. As far as the other portion is concerned, that's another township. I mean, I'm sure we could reach out and just ask if they have any plans on doing it. But as far as, I mean, we could ask them if there's plans in the works, maybe since we're doing our portion, but that would be up to the Township of Marlboro. Do you live in Old Bridge part, or do you live in the?
I live in the Old Bridge part.
Okay.
I live in Lake Ridge West, right off.
Yeah.
Right at that point.
Yep.
Well, what I was wondering was, knowing that it has ownership by 3 towns, I thought that perhaps as a citizen, is it possible for me to get a community together from each of those towns
Sure.
to get something started?
Yeah.
Because it really is very, very bad.
Yeah.
And to wait another, till next year?
Well, and
Doesn't
yeah, they
seem-
do in cycles, the paving, you know, and they did receive a grant for the other portion that'll be right by you. Which street are you on in Lake Ridge West?
We're just off Press Mills. I'm on Macbeth Drive.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that, when you're coming around, that's all going to be done past Hauser Farm and so on. And then beyond that point, that's what she's talking about for the following cycle. But as far as for the other towns are concerned, that sounds like a very good idea. Maybe get everybody together and see if then we can reach out and see what can be done for you, definitely.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right?
much.
Oh, you're welcome, thank you.
Brian Murphy?
Good evening, members of the council. Brian Murphy, 40 Bushnell Road. I'm sure the council is going to agree with me on this, that these are the most satisfying meetings, that we have the proclamations and the recognitions of very deserving organizations and people. I want to do my own recognition, since I didn't hear one here tonight. I don't know if the council or anyone in this room or anyone watching on TV is aware that this week is National EMS Week, so I just want to bring that up to everyone. And I want to personally thank all those people, all EMS workers who do that tireless and thankless job, and I'm going to make it less thankless by thanking them. And that's throughout the whole nation and the whole world. But I'd like to take it a step further. I know that I see Erin Cassay and Lisa Giuliano sitting behind me, who are EMS workers, and I'd like to thank them. If there's anyone else sitting back there that I don't know, I'd like to thank them also, but none more than Old Bridge First Aid and Rescue, Central Old Bridge Emergency Medical Services, Cheesequake Volunteer First Aid, Madison Park Volunteer First Aid, Lawrence Harbor First Aid and Safety, and OB Thames. And if I left anyone else out from Old Bridge, I'd like to thank them also. So thank you. I just wanted to say that.
That was very nice, Mr. Murphy, thank you. Okay, that finishes the public comments, and now I will go on to council member comments. I'll start on my left. Anyone? Mr. Murphy?
Okay, I just have a bunch of thank yous tonight. In fact, I may even give Amacho a thank you later on. But I'd like to thank Kyle. Since I've been on the council, he's probably done 5 or 6 jobs in my ward, and the people are very thankful. And he also worked with Ms. Shapiro, and I want to thank the two of you for all the work you've done, and the people are very appreciative. They've said they've waited 10 to 15 years for the stuff to get done, and once again, you've come every time I called you. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say
You through?
now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Merwin, and then I'll come right up the aisle, okay? All right.
Well, two things I'd also like to thank Kyle. He did a job along the Bayview waterfront that we've been waiting years and years and years for. It was so much that the public came out and applauded him and brought him water and everything. We had one resident that wasn't happy, but 30-something more that were. Matter of fact, somebody just texted me a picture. For the first time and since she's lived in her house, she's seeing a sunrise. And it's because you guys cleared that, and I want to applaud you and thank you. Mr. Murphy stole my thunder. But I'm not going to be as nice as Mr. Murphy. Here I sit through another council meeting where proclamations and awards are presented, especially this week, where we proclaim it National Public Works Week. No, nothing intended by that, but National Public Works Week. That's fine and dandy, but I sit on this council meeting in and out, and listen to the rhetoric of this being a volunteer community. Well, tonight finally proved that it's all BS. Last night started National EMS Week, and what do our volunteers get? Not even a mention. Not a pat on the back, nothing. EMS personnel in this community are a front line of health care. Mayor, I believe that you owe the EMS community an apology. And while I'm on the subject of the volunteers, I would like the town to put their money where their mouth is. I propose, and I can because I will not benefit from this one bit, a 15% tax deduction for our volunteer first responders, our fire and EMS units. And I also propose that our volunteers, fire and EMS personnel, receive free pre and after school programs, which I believe was the whole intention of our volunteer incentive program, was to give these programs free to the volunteers. In this day and age where roofing permits, siding permits, hot water heater permits are no longer needed, what are we giving them? We're giving them absolutely nothing. All right? The agencies need this for their recruitment and retention, and I would like this council to look upon this in the future very favorably, and thank you.
Okay, are you through, Mr. Merwin? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes, I just want to congratulate all of our children here who received awards tonight and recognitions. We had our athletes, we had our academics acknowledged tonight, and that's what it's all about, our community, and that's why we all ran and we sit up on this council. The children's what it's all about. It's all about community. Thank you.
This side? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, this Saturday, I had an opportunity to attend the 25th anniversary of the library. Well, not the new library. And I just want to thank former Mayor Art Haney for having the foresight to see that the town was growing and the need for a new library. And people that haven't been there lately, please go. It's amazing. They have so many programs, free passes for museums and things like that. And you should check it out online or go there in person. It's a really nice place.
I'll close the council comments then. Oh, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Amachu, we spoke about it once before, and I'm not picking on you here. If you, no, I'll give you the thing later. If you know of any events coming up, I understood there was like 5 or 6 of them on Sunday. I attended 3 of them, but I found out by accident. If you or the clerk know of any special event that we could attend at any time, I would just like you to either put it in your report or give me a call or something, okay? Or notify the council. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, anyone else? Okay, then we will close the council comments. Report of the township clerk, please.
None today, please.
Report of the Township Attorney.
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Thank you. Administrative report, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Council President. The administrative report for May 21st, number 1, 2018 Memorial Day ceremony. On May 25th, 2018, Mayor Henry will be holding Memorial Day wreath-laying ceremony at the Senior Center. The ceremony is scheduled to begin at 10:30 a.m. For additional information, residents should contact the mayor's office at 732-721-5600, extension 2040. Item number 2, 2018 Memorial Day holiday. On May 28, 2018, all municipal offices will be closed in observance of Memorial Day holiday. Item number 3, 2018 Memorial Day Parade. On May 28, 2018, the township will be holding its annual Memorial Day Parade. The event will begin at 9 a.m. For additional information about this event, residents should contact the Department of Parks and Recreation at extension 4999 or visit the township website at www.oldbridge.com. Item number 4, Mayor Henry's Clean Team. On Saturday, June 2nd, 2018, Mayor Henry and volunteers from the Madison Township Historical Society, Girl Scout Troop number 81779, Old Bridge Cougar Football, Old Bridge Red Knights 10U, Sierra School PTA, and the Old Bridge High School French Honor Society will be cleaning up various roadways throughout the township. For additional information, residents should email recycling@oldbridge.com. Item number 5, recycling bin. In addition to being available in the office on weekdays, recycling bins are now available at the recycling center on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bins are $10 each, cash or check only. Please see the recycling attendant at the booth for detail. Item number 6, National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. The National Health Center of Health Statistics, part of the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, is conducting a major study of health of person living in the United States. Middlesex County, New Jersey has been randomly selected as one of the survey locations. Their personnel will be conducting the survey in Middlesex County beginning June 8 through August 29, 2018, where a sample of about 638 people from Middlesex County will be asked to participate in the survey. Should you need any additional information or have any question, please feel free to contact the local study manager, Janice Eklund, at 800-379-9389. Item number 7, Old Bridge Parks and Recreation, Rock Garden. The Department of Parks and Recreation has started a rock garden outside the Civic Center entrance close to the parking lot. This was created by our art instructor, Miss Stacy. Children in our art class paint rocks and leaves them to beautify the entrance. We will also have the Silver Lining Center art class add their rocks to the garden. If anyone would like to paint rock and leave it in the rock garden, please feel free to do so. Any question, contact Recreation Department at extension 4999. Item number 8, Housing Rehabilitation Program. The Township Consultant CGP&H markets affordable homes for sales of applicants on the waiting list, verifies buyer's income, coordinates with mortgage providers, papers closing documents, deed restriction, and attends closing. 3 homes have been sold in the past 12 months. There are 4,134 applicants on the waiting list to purchase an affordable home in Old Bridge. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaw. Do I have a motion to accept the administrative report, please?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pasquitti.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Zohorev?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Next will be our consent agenda. I'd like a motion to move it up, and then we will go out to the public and back to the council for separations. Do I have a motion to introduce?
I'll move it.
Second.
Mrs. Walker, Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selwood?
Yes.
9 yes.
I'd like to open it up to the public first. Anyone in the public wish to be heard on any consent agenda item? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and then now go to council. Does anyone have any separations?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Merwin, go ahead.
I'm just looking,
Yeah.
looking for the number there, I'm sorry. C16.
16, okay.
Yeah.
Merwin, you probably should abstain from 6 and 7 as well. Mr. Merwin,
What was that?
you should abstain from 6 and 7?
Low set.
No, they don't affect me. They're not my organizations. But if you
Yeah, I would.
advise that I should, I will.
Yeah.
I'll abstain from 6 and 7, I'm sorry, thank you.
Okay. Did you have any other separations, Mr. Merwin?
What was that?
Any other separations?
No, that's it.
Okay. Anyone else on this side of the dais? And how about on my right? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, C13 and C19. I was going to do C16. I'll just make my comment along
Okay.
with Mr. Moran.
All right. So I will now ask for a motion for the balance of the consent agenda, please.
I'll move it.
Second.
Mrs. Walker, Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selwood?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, we'll now do C5, it's separated for an abstention. It's acknowledging the Old Bridge Police Department's appointment of new police officers. Oh, I'm sorry, C6. I'm sorry, C6 and C7, I apologize. Approving LoSAP Emergency Services Volunteer Length of Service Program, listing year 2016 for Cheesequake First Aid Squad. Can we do them together? Okay. And C7, approving LoSAP Emergency Service Volunteer Length of Service Program, listings for year 2017, Central Old Bridge Emergency Medical Service Incorporated, Green and White, and Cheesequake First Aid Squad.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. Greenberg, seconded by Mr. Pescitti. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Abstain.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selwood?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Next is C13, Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, this is for maintenance of vacant properties. The program was put in, so when properties are abandoned or foreclosed.
13 or 12.
Oh, 13.
You said 13?
I thought it was 13, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's 12, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries.
12 for the vacant properties.
Well, we voted on it.
So
though.
we voted on it.
Okay,
You
it's all
can
right.
comment if you
can
like. Yeah.
It's okay. I can go. I just wanted clarification on it, but that's okay. I can get it another time from the, so 13 I did not.
Okay, so 13, we separated. It was the contract for 2018-47, awarding IT support services, time and material to Ignazi Software, PVT primary, and integrated microsystem secondary.
Wait a second. Mine C13 says award and vacant property maintenance. They changed the number on the thing. I'm sorry, I was looking at my computer. That's what the problem was. Okay.
So they
On the
didn't sync up?
computer, it's
Okay.
13, and I was looking at my computer for the property maintenance, vacant property maintenance, but yet on the sheet that we got handed out, it's C12. See
No,
the
it's not.
difference?
Same thing.
No,
hers is
no.
different. Her computer's
No,
different.
my
I'm looking
computer
right at it.
right
Looking
now
on Novus.
says.
Okay.
I looked at the computer, that's why the confusion. My computer for C13 says, time and material vacant property.
Mine no.
Hers is different.
Mine is different.
Wow,
Hers is different than
okay.
mine.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes.
in the interest of the, the councilwoman getting what she needs, the information, please, let's have that redone. You know,
Well,
we'll remove
the-
the vote.
the
I think there's a
basic
problem with
thing-
Novus and the site.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
site.
Okay,
it
so
does say
do you-
213. The question basically was, how many properties do we have that's vacant? And how do you know when the township has to maintain them? That is my question. From neighbors calling, or do we just have them on a list? How do we know?
I think this one, the vacant property maintenance, we do time and material as required for the services, when, complaints received, for maintenance, then we send, and our code department then verifies that, and then they send code enforcement officers, to, authorize the contractor to perform necessary maintenance, and then we put a lien on the property, and then eventually we collect the funds. So this has been, I think it's been in practice for last, probably 10 years now.
Yes, I realize that.
But it is on call. From one year to another
when
year, it
someone
will be not,
complains.
not necessarily specific.
Right. So my question was, like, obviously during the summer months, when you see the grass growing long, we send someone out. Do we have to wait for another call, or is it on the list that we just have, drive-by again when it gets long, that we do, till they're off the vacant property list?
Right, it's specifically, when the property is vacated for some reasons, and the banks who holds the mortgage doesn't perform that, then we will intervene that. Most of the time, homeowners, they get the notice, they get things done, but this is specifically targeted for the vacant properties.
But I just.
They
I think
stay
to-
on the
to-
list.
Right, to Councilwoman's point, I think most of the time with respect to vacant properties, you find out about it through a neighbor. That's usually how you find out about it. And then once the information's provided, right, we prepare a list, and then if you recall, there was a new statute, we have special counsel to enforce those liens once they're placed for the failure to maintain and keep up vacant properties. But typically, it's, I think, through receiving a complaint from neighbors.
Okay,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pescetti?
Yeah, when somebody complains about a vacant property that a bank owns, and we have to send folks out there to check it out, we see it's blighted, so we have to send these guys out to cut the lawn or trim the bushes or whatever, right? So we immediately put a lien on the property for that amount, or do we bill the bank?
You have to give them
The
notice.
lien you authorize, there's generally, if you've seen on the agenda, we put a resolution that there's a process we have to go through. So once the work is done, the amount is certified, then we bring it to the council to authorize, put the lien on the property, and then lien gets added on the property, and eventually, when the tax collector does the lien sale, it's included in those lien sale, which basically then recovers our funds that we expended.
Right, so before that happens, if code enforcement goes out there and says that, yeah, we need to do work here, is there a step where someone's calling the mortgage company or the
Yes.
bank?
Yes, there is a call made, the code enforcement reaches out to the banks and gives them an opportunity to correct the situation before we intervene. And then we have to document all those steps in order to effectuate the lien, ultimately sustain that. So all the proper steps are being taken to make sure that township doesn't lose funds when we do the work on the property.
Okay, and can we, as a council, get a report, like, once a year that shows how much was expended and how many liens went out?
Yeah, we can certainly provide that, a report. But just to know that every now and then, you will be approving that on a council resolution. You'll see on the agenda.
Thank you.
But a collector will provide a report.
Madam Chairperson.
Yes, Mr. Merwin.
To the attorney, I mean, I believe it's under this. When I call and make a complaint, I get a constituent calls and says, hey, the grass is too high.
Right.
Well, usually when they call and tell us that the grass is too high, it's already, 10, 12 inches. Now, lately, they've been utilizing, I guess, that new statute that says there has to be so many days notification and everything. but we've adopted the International Property Maintenance Code, which says that, hey, cut your grass, you've been notified. You don't cut it, now we can cut it. I mean, it shouldn't happen that fast, but we shouldn't be waiting a month for some of these properties to be getting cut. And I'm just wondering what one they should be utilizing when it comes to cutting of these overgrown properties.
Well, there's two different things. There's a vacant property, which is what
That
you
question
approve.
was to the attorney.
Yes, it's all right, he thinks he's an attorney sometimes, that's all right.
Better than attorney sometimes.
It's really, Mr. Merwin, it's going to depend. If the resident is there, right, and let's say they're just not taking care of the property, that's where we hit the international maintenance
Yeah,
code,
IP,
right?
okay.
To the extent that the property is vacant, then if you recall, actually, the ordinance was adopted at section 363-5, where a property owner has an obligation within 30 days of the property becoming vacant to notify the township. So then, under that situation, would utilize that section as opposed to the property maintenance.
Okay.
Because with the property maintenance, typically, the person's still there, and then you're just found, it's a matter, becomes a nuisance, so.
All right,
That would be the demarcation.
All right, that answers my question, thank you.
Anyone else? I will just say this, I have several home associations in my ward, and we do have this problem with vacant property. And they go on a list, and they've been on, some of these places have been on now for quite a few years, but they do get out to them and they do maintain them. So if you do have something like that, please do reach out to us, and, it will be taken care of.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, you're good, Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, thank
Okay, you're welcome.
I'd like to
All right.
move it.
I'll second.
I'll second it, C13.
C13.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescity?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selva?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay. Next will be C16, Mr. Merwin.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how this is back up here. We voted on this, but I'm sure give Mr. Pescity all his time. Explain it again.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we did vote on the discussion to move it up to, at that time, we were talking about an ordinance, but after legal looked at it, requested that it should just be a resolution, which is okay by me. The whole idea of this is when someone takes an oath of office and they swear to uphold the U.S. Constitution and the New Jersey Constitution, we're going to give them a copy of it. And the copies have been donated, so it's not going to cost the town any money. And I think it's a great idea that, a lot of people haven't read the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution is very short. Take like 10 minutes, you can read the whole thing. And we're swearing to uphold to something. We should be aware of what it says. I'm not looking to spoon feed anybody, but I just thought it would be a nice thing and be a leader in a town that would provide constitutions for people to read if they're going to swear to them. That make sense?
I'm fine with it.
Ms. Sohar?
Yes, Mr. Cahill.
Mr. Pescitty's done, I'm not sure if he's.
Are you through, Mr.?
Yeah, I'm done, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cahill?
Yeah, so a couple of issues I have with C16. First off, we have a process, and we talked about process a lot at the last meeting. And the process is a council person puts something on for discussion, and it goes through the first reading, second reading route. And now we have a resolution on the consent agenda, which in my mind circumvents that process. So if the attorney's saying it should be a resolution, I get that, but it seems like we kind of circumvented that whole process we talked about. And I know There's something on the agenda later on, which Mr. Murphy is passionate about, which we're gonna vote on, so I have a problem with that. Second thing is, I have a problem with the inference that we have to hand somebody a document that they're swearing allegiance to, an oath of allegiance. I think, you know, I have a problem with that. To me, it's government overreach. You know, people come here, either elected officials or, you know, police, et cetera, they swear to the oath, and we should take their word that they understand it. I think the inference that people don't know what they're swearing to is wrong. And I'm probably the only one up here who's going to vote no, but I'm going to vote no on this. I think this is government overreach. I think it's nanny state stuff, and I think it's wrong. So I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, because he mentioned my name, so I guess I get another bite at the apple. There's nothing in this resolution that says the person has to receive them. If the person taking the oath doesn't want the document, they don't have to take it. I just want to offer it to them. I think it's a nice gesture. I think it's something good, and it's not overreach. We're not forcing anything down anybody's throat. We're just offering it. So they don't have to take it. Thank you.
Do we have a cost?
It's being donated.
There were donations made.
Yeah, I did in the backup, I did do quotes, which the U.S. Constitution was 50 cents, and the New Jersey Constitution was $1. So it's $1.50, and there's 300 oaths per year in town.
Okay, anyone else for comment? Okay, I'll just make one comment. As far as it being on the consent agenda item, the lawyer had advised us to put it into the form of a resolution. And consent agenda items have discussion, so I didn't feel that this was improper in any way, nor was I trying to not allow people to speak. Anyone can speak on a consent agenda item, both the public and the council. Thank you.
Excuse me, I did have my hand up. I did have one question. My question is this, and as I said before, I think everyone should read the Constitution of the United States and the New Jersey Constitution. But my concern, and I think as long as it's going to be donated, but say like when we're not here, who's going to donate them? That was the thing that came to me. So it's a non-binding resolution. It can be done and it can't be done. And it will only be done as long as you want it done while we're here. So it's not, just so everyone understands that. It's really just a gesture from you to do it. Just so that's understood, there's nothing saying that this is going to go on into perpetuity. It doesn't mean that anyone has to take them. They can be offered. They're going to be there. It doesn't mean even when you take it, we can't guarantee that you're going to read it. And so I understand, you know, Mr. Cahill's point of view. I understand Mr. Paschetti's point of view, and I think it's really just coming from a kind gesture that you want to do this. And I think that's why you brought it up. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so then that's how it has to be understood. And it's not mandatory or anything like that. It's just a gesture that you felt that, you know, the Constitution is obviously important to you, and you were hoping if you provide it, maybe it would pique someone's interest if they didn't read it, since it's in a small pocket version, that they would use it. So it will be available to them. They have the option to take it or not. They have the option to take it and read it, or take it and not read it. So just so everyone understands, there's nothing being forced upon anybody. It's just a kind gesture. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Soar, I got to respond to that, because the resolution says, resolution requiring distribution of copies of the Constitution. So we're requiring that they be distributed versus a gesture. Totally different scenario. But that's why I object to this particular resolution, because we're requiring the distribution, okay? That's the issue. If it's a kind gesture, that's fine. If somebody wants it, if they don't want it, but we're saying we're requiring that we distribute to everybody takes the oath of office. That to me is overreach. Thank you.
If I'll just respond to that. I wrote it, so those are my words. I drafted it because I wasn't sure. It's not typical. That's the reason why I suggested not be an ordinance, because of the fact that some of the comments made by Ms. Greenberg is right. There may not be funding in the future. There is no funding in the future. So people may not be around who think the same way. So to the extent that you have a resolution, so my recommendation is to change, based upon the comments that Mr. Pasquini made, is to change the title to resolution making available copies of the Constitution of the United States of America. And then in the bottom paragraph, going down to the 1, 2, 3, 4th line, after shall be offered from the township clerk at the time when that person takes their oath of office, and then after state of New Jersey, add to the extent that they are available. And I think that addresses the fact that it's not mandatory, and to address the issue that they may not be there in the future, and that makes it where the township's simply making the gesture of making it available. But just so it's clear, those were my words, and I just drafted it based upon the limited information I had, but I think it makes sense if you, again, make it with those changes. I think it may address everyone's issues.
Question to the attorney.
Yes, Mr. Murray?
Yeah. And I'm new here, so I know Ms. Greenberg has been here some time. Is it true that we pass resolutions and somebody's not here in a couple of years, it doesn't hold any weight, or?
No, I think the issue is, to the extent that a resolution is adopted, it expresses the sense of the council at the time, which basically means to the extent that it's a resolution, just like an ordinance, but it's a resolution, it can simply be undone by another resolution.
By another resolution, but
Right.
it would.
So, and I think the difference there, again, is resolution would only require the majority of the council present at the time versus an ordinance, which requires the 5 votes, right? So it's a little more difficult, obviously, to undo an ordinance once it's adopted. So, and I think that makes sense, because again, resolutions typically represent the consent of the council at the time. And to the extent that changes, the idea changes, it just requires a majority of those present.
But it would take an action.
Correct.
To
To
undo.
right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion.
Move it.
Are you asking for outside comments on this?
That was in the beginning.
Move it.
Okay.
As amended, I
As
presume.
amended, okay. Second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
No?
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, kind gestures offered.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Wall?
Yes.
President Stelhor?
Yes. Okay, thank you. That's C19, Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, that is for the contract awarding purchase of 2 law enforcement motorcycles. And does that coincide with my number?
No, no.
That is so, mine is different.
That's so crazy,
I don't know why.
She's a novice.
I don't know why. I apologize.
I think we all.
I don't know what to do.
It's not your fault.
I apologize. I was looking at the
Okay.
numbers when I did it.
All right, so C19,
C18 is when the purchase of
Okay, so what do
vehicle.
we do now? I just have a question about it. My question is basically about first of all, I want to apologize to the public. Usually when we separate agenda items, we do them by numbers. For some reason, my computer
Doesn't
aligned
sync
different
up with
numbers
her-
with
you,
it,
with nobody
which is
else.
different than everyone else's, which is strange, but that's why I use these numbers. And, but my question is very simple. I just wanted to know what we use the motorcycles for.
I'm going to turn over to the representative from Plinth. Herb, you want to explain?
oh, I thought it was Pete.
And how many do we have if we have some now, or what's the maximum number you think would be good to have, or, you know?
Currently, we have 2. They're 13 years old. So we're going to use them for training purposes when we send guys to get trained to ride the motorcycles. These 2 are going to be used for parades, any special events that we have. We don't have patrol officers on them enforcing traffic or anything like that. It's a little too dangerous nowadays. So they're just for the parades and commemorative events and all that kind of activities.
Thank you. Yeah, usually I've seen motorcycles, if they escort a procession, if even a funeral procession,
Right,
blocking off the road, get it moving ahead, it's easier to do than a vehicle. And obviously, when we've had special events, even when we honored Lori Hernandez for the Olympics, we had them there. So I just didn't know when I saw them, whether there was other reasons that you were getting for them. Thanks for that clarification.
Okay, anyone else? All right, so now we have to vote on C19, which is the interlocal service agreement between Middlesex County and Old Bridge Township to provide public health services for the period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, in the amount of $169,651.69. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Okay. Move. And Dr. Greenberg.
Second.
Yep.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Yes. President Selher?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, next is ordinances for first reading. FR1, creating Old Bridge Township Code Chapter 320, entitled Outdoor Dining Ordinance.
Move it.
Roll call?
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Selher?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is FR2, an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-25 of the Code of Township of Old Bridge. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
I want point of order there.
Yes.
Is that not mine?
I believe so, yes.
Can I ask a question? I'm not getting any backup on my computer.
Okay.
I spoke to Mr. Rizzoli during the week. I'm going to take your word for it.
To the attorney, Mr.
Yes.
Mr.
Mr. Roselli.
Rizzoli, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
just-
The other one.
Counties have some difference.
Yes, little. You're gonna charge
I had
for
most of the
hours.
letters right. Does it basically say that all ordinance will be discussed before they are put on to first reading?
It does. One of the things that we had discussed is that if you look at the section of the where it has ordinances, as you recall, that presently, to the extent that council wishes to put a item on the agenda, either by resolution or ordinance, it requires council to first pass a motion. So in that regard, let's say, that, again, there's a topic. So the topic would be discussed, and we've done this in the past. So there's discussion that ensues at that time, and then majority decide whether or not to go forward. Now, the exception to that is that the ordinance the code currently allows the mayor, an administration, to move ordinances without the necessity of having council adopt a motion or a resolution. And I think, again, the reason for that is that administration, they deal with things every day, issues come up, so from that perspective, some things you can't anticipate. So keeping that in mind, what I tried to do is strike a balance between what was discussed and requested about that once it's determined that an ordinance will be moved forward, that prior to its introduction, there would be an opportunity for discussion, but limited for explanation purposes. I think if you recall, what you don't want to do is have 2 opportunities for debate, because that's really what the public hearing component is for debate. And debate should ensue not only between council members, but the public. So what I sought to do was that Discussion could ensue, but it would be for explanation purposes, but not debate. And that, to the extent that after that, it could be moved for introduction, or not, if it's a council item. But if it's a one from the administration, well, it can be discussed before introduction. I have it reading that notwithstanding the discussion period, that it has to be introduced at that particular meeting.
Okay, so you're basically saying even that ordinance from the administration, we will be able to discuss it before we vote on it?
You would, there's an opportunity for discussion, for
Okay.
explanation prior to introduction, but I don't think it would be appropriate based upon
I
the
agree.
present code to stop that from being introduced at that meeting. So you can have the discussion, but then after the discussion, it'll be moved for introduction.
Okay, and also, I don't know, like I said, I didn't read it, I can't read it. After discussion, even by the when it's put up by the council, after discussion, at that same meeting, can we move it to first reading?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Point of order. Attorney. In section C, the last line of the first C section. I guess that's on page 1.
Okay,
Would you read that and tell me if that word's not missing?
let me see. I'm sorry, on page, the first page, all ordinance approved upon motion of council or at the request of the mayor pursuant to paragraph B above.
The last sentence on that line, on that section,
The last sentence?
in that regard.
Shall first be listed for discussion by the council for the sole purpose of receiving explanation regarding the purpose and intent of said ordinance.
Next sentence.
Right, in that regard, debate regarding the ordinance shall be, shall not, you're right, thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that's what we were
It should,
supposed
should
to
be
say.
shall not be permitted at this time, right?
Yeah, you
Right.
know, that's not significant, no. Wait, that's not significant. That's not significant, is it?
Yeah, I think it would change the meeting. Yeah, we'd want to.
It doesn't matter whether it's first reading, right?
Ultimately, I think it's right, it would change what I intended, because again, the time for debate should not be, at introduction, or even when you're having discussion. I think sometimes issues come up and council may not know about or understand the issue, so it presents an opportunity for explanation, and I think that would be appropriate. But what you don't want to do is have debate at introduction and then debate at the public hearing, which statutorily, the debate is supposed to be at the second reading, or what you
So
said.
therefore, it's for clarification only.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Second it if you need it.
okay, so did we have a, Tony?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm totally lost. I really am. I'm just being honest. I'm new, so even though I sat in this room a lot of times, I don't understand the process. I know it comes up for discussion, and then we discuss it. Then we move it up to first reading, but during first reading, there's no discussion, it's just a vote, and then it comes up for second reading. Now, at that time, there's discussion and there's public debate. Is that
Well,
correct?
yeah, debate can be done, doesn't be public debate, it's a public hearing, so that the public can make offering their statements. But I think because that's when the public hearing, that would be the appropriate time to the extent that council members could join in that discussion and that debate as well. That's statutorily would be the appropriate time. So that part's not changing. Again, my understanding was there was a motion made at the last council meeting to move this type of ordinance forward for introduction. And what this intends to do is to provide an opportunity for discussion of a proposed ordinance before it's introduced.
Before it's introduced as first reading.
Correct.
Okay, don't we normally do that anyway?
Yes.
Okay, so.
If it's for a council ordinance or resolution, the discussion that occurs is whether or not to draft the ordinance. So, for example, somebody has an idea that all plastic bottles should be there should be no more plastic water bottles in Old Bridge. So what typically happens is a council member will request that that be added as a discussion item. And then at that meeting, there's a discussion ensues whether or not that particular member feels that if there should be an ordinance or a resolution that would not allow for water bottles to be sold in Old Bridge. And so then that person can say, well, I would like to have a motion to see if we can proceed with the drafting of the ordinance. So at that time, there would be some discussion naturally about the topic. Not necessarily the ordinance, because you wouldn't see it, but the topic. So then once it's 5 members vote in the affirmative, or the majority would vote in the affirmative, then the ordinance or resolution is drafted, and then it can move forward for introduction after that discussion. But what you don't have at that initial stage is the form of the ordinance.
Okay, so this, what we're trying to do here, the way I understand it, is that we're trying to make sure that everything that comes up as a discussion first.
No, I think the concern was that there may be an ordinance that is proffered for introduction, and a council member may not have a full understanding of the topic. So what this would then do is allow council to have a discussion only relative to what it's for, what its intent, what's the meaning behind it, and why it's being offered. And then at that point, if it's one of the ordinances that council wants, that person or somebody can move it for introduction. If it's an ordinance that comes from the administration, you can still have that same discussion, because again, if it's an administration ordinance, the code currently does not require council to adopt a motion or pass a motion in order for introduction. So it gives another step that would allow discussion for explanation purpose to be had, but it requires that notwithstanding, it shall be introduced at that particular meeting. If it's a council ordinance, that it's not a mandatory item because it's council's ordinance. So that you can either have further discussion or you can move it for introduction, whatever the majority determines.
Okay, I'm still not really getting it, and I don't want to take up too much time here. But,
Mr. Rizzoli, if the
Roselli, that's it.
Roselli, if the administration,
Say, hey, the other Italian
if
guy.
the
that's really
administration
good.
brings it up, it does come up for discussion first. Then, when it comes up for first reading, if we don't like it, we can vote it down if we want.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
You can do that now, and you can do that anytime,
Okay.
right? Yep.
That's
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you still have that
That's
opportunity.
pretty much what I wanted.
Clear now on what we're voting on? Are we all clear on what we're voting on?
Since it's just a first reading, I will have something to say at second reading about this. We're just so the public understands, this is just to move it forward, and we will have a discussion on it later.
Well,
and
just
hopefully
to that point.
Right.
To that point, actually, the discussion that we're having now would be the type of discussion that you would have before you would introduce, just like it's happening. You say, okay, I drafted the ordinance, you're all looking at it. All right, what's the reason, what's the ordinance say, what does it intend to say? So you have that discussion. So the next step would be, you can move to introduce, since it's a council ordinance, or not move to introduce. And then again, but there's no debate, there's a discussion just like we're having now. And then once it's introduced, at the second reading or the public hearing, that's when the debate would ensue. But the way that this worked out, this is basically the process that, when I wrote it, that I envisioned.
Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Okay, the only reason I brought it up was to show transparency, not just to the council and that we understand what we're voting on, but also show transparency to the public. That was what, I was not trying to make a big deal out of it. That was all it was. I just wanted to know what I was voting on. Thank you.
All right, are we good now?
I'd like to have a discussion to say, basically, you're reinventing the wheel. It doesn't serve the public. And for us, getting elected to this position, just like if you are hired and go to apply for a job, you should understand the detail of the job. And I didn't want to change the job structure, that this process has been in place for a long time. So either, I think, when...
Point of order, that is going beyond the discussion, is it not, Mr. Attorney? That is going to the heart of the ordinance.
As far as the discussions, when he said it's for the public.
Well, yeah,
It's so they know what we're voting on as well as we do.
All right, so
You're
let's-
basically saying, vote on this, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting. That is wrong. The public needs to know what's happening.
so now what we're doing is what we're not supposed to be doing, having a
Right.
debate.
Exactly. 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 That's why it's so complicated. It's just,
So, all right, so now we have a motion to bring this forward. Mr. Pescetti brought it forward? Okay. And Mr. Merwin seconded, okay.
It's for introduction.
Yeah, right.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
no.
Dr. Greenberg?
No.
Mr. Merwin?
Pass.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No,
President Selby?
no.
You need 5. Hold on, I wasn't, you got to go back to Mr. Merwin. He
Yeah,
passed.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Five,
Yep.
5 yes and
Okay.
4 noes.
All right, we're good? All right, thank you. Okay, next is discussion ordinance, DO1, amending Old Bridge Township Code, Chapter 124, updated the official maps depicting the location and boundaries for drug-free school zones and drug-free public areas.
Now, see, sometimes the administration even presents a discussion before introduction, so we're getting an opportunity to
It's a-
discuss.
right.
It all depends on the issues.
Okay, so this is Mrs. Shapiro?
We keep
Okay.
saying,
Well, yeah, but just to that point, I don't want to hog the meeting, but there is, in government, there isn't going to be consistency. That's the issue, because issues arise where you cannot always predict. There may come a situation where we learn that, for instance, we have to get an ordinance because there's a funding issue that we have to deal with. So you don't always have the opportunity from the administration point, and even council side, to have, a discussion first. It really depends on the topic. I mean, a lot of times, again, what happens for most ordinances is that there is an opportunity for discussion because you find out about an issue because it's in the community. So it's brought to your attention, the topic's broached, and then you work through the process. But that's not always the case. Now, this particular situation, we learned that we had to update our drug-free zone maps, and so we had the opportunity to do it. So that the point is that, so you all have to understand before we move to the introduction, is to have that explanation. But it varies by topic or issue.
I hear that, but,
Okay, so we're going to continue on now. Mrs. Shapiro, did you have anything to add, or you're good? Okay.
We just wanted to update the maps for the drug-free zones from public facilities and also from parks and recreation facilities and from schools. Earlier in my career, when I was in college, I actually used to certify the letters that for drug enforcement. What was important is the police report used to come back and say, this is the address on where the offense had occurred, and you have to certify from that address. Well, now the maps actually have the lot lines on there, so you could actually pinpoint exactly where that address is on the lot and be certain that you are either within the zone or without. A lot of applications have come through our planning and zoning boards, and there has been a lot of development since the last date of the map, so we thought it was important to make sure that we updated for any, school facilities or any property that has been turned over to the township, so that we could, have a more reliable map. And then that's for both public space and then also for Board of Education properties.
Okay. Any other comments? The police department have anything to add, or we're all good?
Certain of the map? No. Have specific date?
No, May 2018 is what we have it listed.
Is there a change to the specific map, or is it just, I mean, has there been additional?
Well, if you look at the old map, and I didn't put it in Novus, but the old map was, I mean, it was so archaic looking. It actually was a scanned image of a Mylar. So now we've done it in GIS, and it's actually geolocated.
Okay, so there isn't, okay. Yeah, I was confused, actually, Nicole, because all I saw here was we were changing it from Mr. Cleary to you as kind of the owner, but I didn't see the map, so I'm glad you
You
explained
know,
that.
I looked this afternoon. It was there. You have to scroll in the backup. Do you
I-
see it in the backup?
don't see
Oh,
any
you know, I didn't look at the
backup.
discussion item. I only looked at the other items. Is it not?
I don't see any backup unless I'm,
No backup.
Well,
Just
then I'm
your,
glad.
So,
ordinance.
in addition to that release that I was gonna, for the Wawa, I'll send you the two maps. You could see it's color-coded where before, what I'll do is I'll send you the old and I'll send you the new. This way you could see the differences.
I'm sorry, it's here, I apologize.
It is?
It is here.
Okay, great.
You have to scroll down. My apologies.
Night.
We're good? Anybody else?
It's in there, it's the second one.
And the other significant things why you need to keep them updated is for enforcement purposes. One of the things that, for discovery, and, you know, when someone gets stopped in the drug zone, or for that, or school zone, your maps have to be updated and accurate. So that's the other significant aspect of it.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add from law enforcement?
Page down. He needs to be on the mic so people at home can hear him.
And you're right, it relates to property.
Public housing,
Right.
schools, parks, the beachfront, all needs to be updated just for, like your attorney said, prosecuting problems.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to move this to first reading?
I'll make a motion, move it to first reading.
Okay. Yep.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Zoller?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Shapiro.
Question, do we vote on that now, or we gotta wait another meeting? Can we vote on it for first reading tonight?
Yeah, that's what we voted on,
Right,
to make it first reading, Dave.
That,
And it'll be second,
that was,
okay?
okay.
Yeah, now it's first reading. Okay. All right. Next is a discussion, oh, I'm sorry, public comments on any subject matter. Does anyone wish to be heard on, come forward, please? Good evening.
Good evening. Terry Barron, 5A Indiana Court. First, I want to ask you, can I make a comment about, oh, I'm sorry, about the agenda? I don't know if that's allowed. I'm a little confused with all this going back and forth. Okay. I just wanted to bring up about C12, this here property maintenance management thing. I have been well involved with these companies for the past 8 years, and it has left a very bad taste in my mouth. Of all of the ones that I've dealt with, probably at least 8 different companies, I've only had one that I could deal with. So my question is, if we are giving a contract to somebody to take care of this property, who would be responsible to know exactly what's being done? If
That
you
is
can
a
answer.
code enforcement division that will be managing, overseeing them.
Managing,
Yeah.
they'll have a job, the big job. Because in my experience, of course, it's a little different because we're condos.
Well, you're a home association, so.
They are not, they've never been cooperative. But I don't know this company, I've never heard of this company, but I just want to make sure that somebody is watching, is checking, you know what I'm saying?
think we have to go out for bid, so this is the bid process, so we have, I think this company's been bidding on our project and finds satisfactory to us. I think they've been working with us over 5 years or more.
Okay.
And we have not had any issue with getting,
So they're not new, there's somebody that
no.
you've had experience with?
yes.
Okay, all right, thank
Okay.
you. That was it. And the other thing, I'd just like to make a mention about the resolution of C-16. I think it's a nice idea. We're all Americans. Why would we not be susceptible to getting handed a copy of our legal documents? I can't imagine who would not accept it as just a great, a gesture, a very nice gesture when you get sworn in your office. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the public that wishes to be heard? Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mary. Hi, Nina Jocknowitz, 203 West Greystone. First of all, great resolution. You guys all should have a copy of the Constitution, but I just have one comment, $1.50 aside. You guys are all given iPads, correct? There's a state link. Okay, everybody's not given an iPad here? I'm sorry. Oh, a Surface,
Surface,
okay. So there's a link to the state Constitution and the federal Constitution. It's free. They could actually upload that right to your thing. I mean, it would just be like when you get sworn in, they could say, hey, here's a bunch of links. Just a thought, And then the second thing, which is actually more important than that, $1.50 aside, I think it's a good idea. I don't know if I could read a small thing myself. I don't understand why we're buying new motorcycles and not just repainting the old ones, considering the fact that they're being used for parades, funerals, processions. It's just, I don't know, what, $25,000 a bike? If it's just being used for training purposes, the ones that you have, maybe 1,000 miles a year, I don't understand it. It's just a cost thing. $50,000 could be used for something else, like a summer arts program, music, theater. Just a thought. That's it.
Well, all our vehicle maintenance dictates whether at some point we need to replace them, and I think that's what the police department review that, because we have to have a safe operating vehicle. So when they see there's a concern about safety and maintenance is not,
Okay, but you're going to be using those same motorcycles for training your officers, so obviously they're still safe. I'm just pointing this out. The gentleman said, I'm sorry I'm sitting over here, but if you want to continue the conversation is, if it's not safe, then they shouldn't be using it for training. If it is safe, paint it, fix it, use it for a parade.
that's why it's being replaced. But
Okay.
I don't think we want to debate, but
No,
that's the
thank you,
purpose.
though, for your comments. No, they're your prerogative. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to be heard? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. Okay. Next is going to be a discussion item, Transco Williams Pipeline. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, come forward, please. I thought you were going to let me know. You come right up.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Good evening, Council. Gary Lavallo, Conservation Officer. Just want to make the point that a lot of accusations were thrown out last month's meeting. Another one that came out today, and I'm not going to go back and forth with it. They're baseless allegations, and I would encourage any of the council to come up to engineering at any time they want, look over our process, our policies, and what's being done, how the permits are processed, and how we proceed with the program. And at any time, come up there and take a look at it. It's open. There's nothing that's nefarious. Everything is above board. I work directly with Nicole, and everything is clear. So I would encourage you, if you have any questions about what I do, feel free to come up there anytime, reach out to me. Anytime, I would just want to make that invitation clear so we can, if there's any questions you have, we can clear the air.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is a discussion item, Transco Williams Pipeline. Mrs. Brown?
So before I begin with the discussion, before the engineer leaves, Nicole, hi, I forgot to actually say thank you so much for all your help with the roadway over Poor Farm Road. I know it's kind of a long process, but I appreciate obviously the patience of the residents in the town, but also, of course, your diligence in getting everything done. So thank you. And the whole engineering department, as well as yourself. Thanks. So the discussion that I brought up here, the Transco Williams pipeline, is referring to it's a pipeline that's going to go in Old Bridge under the Raritan Bay, and it's going to go to service parts of New York and Long Island, possibly the city, but definitely other outer parts of New York. So obviously, this would not only entail a lot of construction, but as we might know here on council, it's going to be an environmental issue. So we've had a couple of people come and speak about it recently, and I'm just kind of proposing today that as a whole body, we do a few different things to oppose this. One of the things we can do, obviously, is to sign on as interveners as a council body. And the most important thing we can do is actually pass a resolution to oppose it. So that way we make sure that we at least have our voice heard to let everyone know in our town that we oppose it, because it really is a concern, especially in Ward 3, which I cover. So any discussions? Anybody have anything to say?
Okay, anyone for comments? Skitty?
Yeah, the way I understand it, the pipeline is going to be installed next to the existing pipeline that runs along the same route. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for comments?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Merwin?
I just want to give you a brief idea of where this pipeline runs. This pipeline will skirt right along the Superfund site in Lawrence Harbor under the Raritan Bay and come up at the compressor station in Morgan, just north of the Morgan Bridge. Cross under the highway, down into behind these brand new condos that they built called Morgan Bluffs, down into the Meadows area, through Lockwood's Marina, through the meadow areas behind all new senior housing and residential housing there along Ernston Road. And then it comes up right alongside another Superfund site called Summer Brothers, where we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal bills, maybe millions, for a long, long time. And then it comes up the hill right behind the apartments in London Terrace Apartments, where there's, I believe, at least 3,000 apartments. And then it goes right 20-something feet in front of the front doors of buildings 20, 21, 22 of Parkwood. And then it comes through, past that, through our municipal parking lot where our commuters are parked, underneath Route 9, comes up the other side to the rear of the Walmart. Then it goes into the wooded area and comes out on Cheesequake Road, about 200 feet, I'm not going to say east or west, of Clemson Road, the Madison Park development, then goes up the hill into the compressor station. Now, when it leaves that compressor station, I don't know whether it goes to the left, to the Superfund site that's called the old U.S. Metal, Ivor Phillips property, or if it goes to the right. Now, if it goes to the right, it's going right underneath all of the ground that we're very much concerned about right now because of groundwater infiltration coming from the DuPont and the the other plant over there. So I think we owe it to every resident in this town that we do our due diligence and that we put in and intervene and make sure that every possible step is taken to safeguard the safety of our residents. And I applaud Ms. Brown for bringing this up, and I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on this side of the dais? Okay, anyone on this side? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, based on research I've done about the pipeline, it already goes across Route 9. It's behind London Terrace. It's behind Central Park. Pipelines have been in Old Bridge for over 50 years. Is the alternative you want everybody to get rid of their gas and switch over to electric? There's problems with electric as well with safety. We can't get rid of gas. This pipeline comes all the way from Texas, 1,800 miles. It's very deep in the ground. So is that what you're trying to tell the people? I think people are being scared for no reason. Do you have safety information of problems? Do you have any information for us?
Yeah, we do actually. So you can actually go to a number of different websites.
I've been to different websites. A lot of things are politically motivated.
Okay.
And they're done by some people that are organizers. So I have done my extensive homework. I have a lot of information here where the pipeline runs. I've had a lot of information on it.
Okay, well, that being said, if you've already looked at everything, I can certainly provide you with more information afterward, but vote as you wish. But if anybody else has anything else to say?
In New Jersey, 80% of the homes are heated by gas currently. There are more people killed by electrical fires. I don't think you should be frightening people. You want the people to get rid of their gas and convert? I mean, is that the option?
Mrs. Walker, this is an issue that's been brought up by the constituents in my ward, so I didn't actually initialize this.
Well, the pipeline has been there for over 50 years already.
I don't think you have to go any further than Durham Woods Edison. Thank you. All right? No further than that. You want to talk about safety? There you go. It was by an accident. It happens. We owe our residents everything to maintain their safety. Now, you can just poo-poo it, but I'm not gonna.
Okay, by the way, are you through or do you have more to say? You have the floor.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Now, Mr. Murphy, you wanted to speak?
Yes, I too have been here when that pipeline was put in, and I'm listening to what Mr. Merwin says. That was 50 years ago. It's done. It's buried. There are many, many environmental reasons. You're going to be running that along the bay, which you have a problem there. You're going to be running it under 2 Superfund sites, which from the years when I was there, working with those Superfund sites on the MUA, they're very, very hazardous. I said, I have a degree in environmental science, and I just want to say my big concern is all the environmental issues. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I would just like to say that this is a federal project. The DEP and the EPA and the state have reviewed it. So I'm sure that those entities are looking out for our safety. And it has been approved already. And I think basically that we all lived through Sandy, and I don't think that people, if they didn't have gas in their home, they wouldn't have heat at that time. We have to be realistic about this. They have SCADA systems that they use. They have total regulations that they use. So, you know, we could look into the safety issues, but I think the DEP and the EPA and the federal government and the state have done their due diligence also.
Anyone else? Murphy?
Okay. I can't believe Councilman Greenberg said that. She knows what goes on. I consider the EPA and the DEP 2 of the most disorganized authorities, or whatever they're supposed to be, and she's agreed to that several times in OBMUA. I would never trust their word. Thank you.
All right, anyone else have any comments to make? No? Okay, in closing, I'm going to say the same thing. I do feel that we've had the gas lines. I do feel we have not had that kind of problem. I do think some of these websites are for political purposes, and I will vote accordingly.
Okay, so,
Okay, so now do we have a motion for this?
yeah, we have a motion to draft a resolution.
Okay, so you made the motion?
Yes, I'm making it right now.
Okay.
Motion to draft a resolution.
A second?
Second.
Now, I want to hear the professionals, too. We have an engineer here, too.
Then we'll bring the engineer.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak on this?
She's not ready yet tonight.
Fair to Ms. Shapiro, is she prepared?
I'm actually not.
No,
Yeah,
if
I'm
you're
not
not
pre-
prepared,
I'm not
that's what I
prepared.
was saying, but I don't feel comfortable voting unless I also get
That's your opinion,
professionals from the town. That's the statement that I made, yes.
Fine, that's absolutely fine. We want more input from the professionals from town.
You to come up till the professionals
Right.
that I need to hear
Council
from.
President?
Yes.
May I, for a moment? Just to address Himanshu, Mr. Shaw, could we have a presentation maybe? Would that work if we have a presentation? I know that council can't do that, but you could actually make that happen.
Yeah,
Wanna
we
maybe
can,
do that?
we'll see. Engineering can look into the, coming up with information to present to the council on the status of that, the pipeline and what issues that arise from that.
Okay. And then,
I think that's what you're looking for, right? To
Right,
see if
that's what she's
there's
asking for.
any opinion we have, and we can form an opinion.
okay. And to Mr. Roselli, can we still go ahead with doing the motion? Or should we? Okay.
I mean, I guess the motion is to have
Draft
a
a
resolution voicing your opposition to this particular pipeline.
Yeah, right.
Ms. Soar?
Yes, Mr. Cahill.
Yeah, based on the discussion we had, I'm going to abstain until we get the presentation, so.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. Anyone else any comments? Okay, so we had a motion and a second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Abstain.
Dr. Greenberg?
No, I don't have the information, thank you.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes, for the safety of our residents.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Pescitty?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Abstain.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
President Selhorn?
No, we don't have enough information, and I too am worried, I worry about my residents as well, but I want more information.
Yes. 1 no, 2 abstentions.
Could I just make a comment?
Yes.
I think because, even though we voted the resolution or the first reading down, I think it would benefit the council to have a presentation. Would that still be okay to do that?
Yeah.
Even just so we get some more information? Is that agreeable? I don't want to push anything on anybody.
No, I agree.
No,
I agree.
no, it's, exactly. This way we get a clearer picture, and we're not just,
Thank you.
all right? Executive session is next.
Make a motion for go in executive
He's got to
session.
read it.
Well, actually, we'll be going to executive session. We will not be reconvening this
Right.
evening. And for purposes of OB Thames versus Township of Old Bridge litigation matter.
We're not going to reconvene? We will not.
No.
What about council comments?
You have council comments? Anyone comments before
I
we?
do.
Okay. No, we didn't do council comments. They did a comment on that.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, at this time, I'd like to thank the council for voting for the new basketball that was on the consent agenda. And I'd like to also thank, at Veterans Park, I'd like to also thank the administration with Amatsu's name in parentheses for making it possible. As most of you know, the people in Ward 6 that voted for me know, is that was a big part of my campaign to do a complete renovation of the park. The people in Ward 6 are happy to see that there is progress being made. I actually got 3 texts tonight asking me when I'm going to bring it up. I explained to them that I will be pursuing for the complete renovation for Veterans Park. I told them it will take some time because it will have to be approved as a capital project. Last week, a Purple Heart wreath, which the residents had put there, was stolen, and they are very, very upset. I spoke to many of the residents, and they had told me that they had been planting flowers there and they hung the wreath. I was not aware of that. They want to help with the minor renovations. I told them I would bring it up at tonight's meeting. What I'm asking for is a meeting with the business administrator, Parks and Rec Department head, and the attorney to discuss any legal applications such as the 1-800 number and insurance reasons, and possibly meet with the chairman of the Parks and Rec Committee. So I'm requesting to have a meeting with you, Macho, in a week or two to discuss if anything can be done, and I would appreciate it, and everybody in Ward 6 thanks you.
Yeah, we'll try to schedule a meeting with the Parks and Recreation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other? All right, anyone else for council comments? Good, okay, we'll go for executive session.
Just need a motion on the resolution to adjourn to go into executive session for the matters stated.
Not be returning, okay, so do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay, Mrs. Walker made the motion, you heard it, right? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Caham?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Easy.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
8 yes.